movement. Show me movement. I'm not seeing movement. See some movement. Gonna need to see some movement.
Hey Dale!
What?
I'm gonna need to see some improvement in the quality of this podcast.
Why?
Because otherwise we'll be at risk of removement, which means we'll be screwed-ment.
Better get our groovement on then, hadn't we?
That's right, Dale. But first, a quick news flash. Dun dun dun. That's where I add sound effects in the post-edit. Honest. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's the news, and in this week's news, the legendary BattleBots referee John Remar has announced his retirement from the show and has taken up dairy farming. In a quote, John told reporters he's never been happier and that he has achieved obedience from his new herd simply by shouting, "I'm gonna need to see some movement."
Get your hypershot jacket.
Oh, all right then. Also in the news, John Remar is on the show, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey.
Hello. Yes, I'm doing lots of movement here on my farm. Cows. And one thing I've noticed is the movement is much slower here.
Okay. Is there a reason for that?
Because cows are much bigger and they don't move very fast. That's pretty much the reason why. And I'm very fast. I'm fast.
He's a fast man. He has to be fast. He's got all those roboteers and robots to deal with. He's got to be a fast man. I believe him.
No, it's fun. I start the morning out. The first thing I have to do is really find the right piece of hay to stick in my mouth because, what's a cow farmer without a piece of hay in their mouth? And once I find the perfect piece, and by its texture, by the length of the piece of hay and the color, when it's just perfect, and you can start your day. And like most farmers, 10 a.m. is about the right time to wake up and hit the farm.
I love how dedicated to my pun you are here. This is amazing.
I for 2 weeks with a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old. You just kind of.
I was going to ask you that. I was going to ask you, how bored are you in quarantine, stuck indoors?
I'm actually doing quite well. I do miss, the normal world, but I guess this is the new normal. Lots of online streaming, various different services, and I guess I should be more specific about that. The common ones like Netflix, Amazon Prime, the kids love their iPads, and so our iTunes account balance has gone up quite a bit, or I should say from the gift cards, but we're passing the time. Nothing too exciting here. I did my first couple of TikToks, and I think I have maybe 2 followers now. So
well done. You have more followers than me. I don't have a TikTok. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll talk about BattleBots because we should be at BattleBots right now. So I think we need to talk about that to get our fix. So you're the referee on BattleBots, and so I want to know, how did you become the BattleBots referee? Were you sort of a referee beforehand and you got pulled into BattleBots, or were you involved somehow with it anyway? Tell us the story.
Sure. Well, my relationship with Greg and Trey goes way back. Actually started with Trey and I, the producer of BattleBots and founder. Both Greg and Trey are the founders, but originally I knew Trey from my early days of high school, and we went to boarding school together.
You went to boarding school? Oh my God.
We did, outside of Buffalo, New York, in the middle of nowhere. It was an all-boys school, about 36 total students. Trey was a couple years ahead of me. And then after high school, we met up again and were college roommates. and started playing around with RC cars, just more for fun. And then when he started BattleBots, he needed somebody to help him produce it, and my production company helped produce the first live event, which was coincidentally in Long Beach at the Pyramid at Cal State Long Beach.
Mm. I mean,
And
yeah, not many people know this, but you're one of the producers as well.
not of the current show, but
Okay.
of the original show. I work for the corporation. I'm the executive vice president of BattleBots, and I work on various business sides of the company. But yeah, going back to the early days, one of the first things I did was kind of produce from the driver's platform. Our very first referee, Todd Owens, uh, was at the event, and he was the first official referee and wore the shirt. So I can't claim to be the first official referee, but I was there on the driver's platform, pretty much conducting and managing from that level. And so it was kind of an easy transition going into being the referee with Todd, who is now retired and works on other aspects of BattleBots. But yeah, that's pretty much how I got into it. Trey said, "Hey, we really need your help on the referee side," and I thought I love being on the platform. You get the best seat in the house. You get to
Oh,
work
you
with all the
do.
teams, and it's a lot of fun, and I love it. I absolutely love it.
I mean, you're an icon as well. I mean, one of the things that I've kind of, I mean, it's not just because I'm British, but one of the things I always preferred about Robot Wars was the house robots. And it wasn't any kind of like, robotic superiority. It was just because they were recurring characters. And so you can relate to them. And, they're there every episode. And it gives you a sense of knowing about the show and you feel more into it, at least, well, for me anyway. And I think you're a recurring character on BattleBots. And, you've got this need to see some movement line that's just kind of immortalized you as the BattleBots ref. I mean, half the time people don't even realize there are two other referees, right? It's just you, because of your line as well. How does it feel that you're not just the referee, but you're this recurring character / icon of BattleBots?
It's I love it. It's fun. It's nice to kind of go outside the typical referee box and do something and be known for something a little bit more. We do take our jobs very seriously. Dave and Mike, the other two referees, they do a great job. We have a lot of fun together. Um, we we work really hard. But I think if you watch us all carefully, we all kind of have our own so-called shtick, and you can see our personalities come out. But I love the movement. I love the "you gotta show me some movement" and the puns, and some of them were a little morbid in the early days. I think you can remember that, or maybe were involved in that. I'm not exactly sure, but
I've been on the receiving end of your movement, right? I should. If
lack of
anybody hears
movement.
that out of context, that's going to be really weird.
Yes,
Oh,
we're talking about BattleBots movement of
yes.
or the lack thereof.
Although I would like to back up your assertion that you take your job very seriously. I'm going to tell the Shunt posters a little story involving you and me, and that is that my first ever BattleBots fight, you were on form. I was completely new to the BattleBox, and a lot of the tech crew treated our team like we were veterans. And we're like, no, hi, first time here, don't know what we're doing. But you were great. You were so thorough and so explanatory. But when I first saw you, you're like, oh my god, you're the guy I've been memeing for ages, and like I love you, right? And I wanted to hug you. And legit, ladies and gentlebots, he said to me, I can't hug you, I'm the referee. I was both simultaneously brokenhearted, but at the same time, he's a professional. This is good. So,
when you've been doing this for as long as I've been doing this, and you get to know everybody, you become friends. And one thing I'm very careful of, and I work really hard, and we all work really hard, Dave and Mike included, is making sure that when it's time to conduct business, we're all about business. Whether we like you or we hate you, we're going to treat you the same. It's all about how you perform inside the box. So I'm sorry I couldn't hug you. I love you. And part of my icon growth I have to attribute to you, and I think that. But you're not going to get any special favors in the battle.
Oh, absolutely. And I would be offended if I got them. I'm that kind of person. I might be the resident despot on Shunt posting, but I believe in truth and justice and honor in the battle box, right?
Exactly.
So, if I would not. I would be very unhappy at any special favor. But yeah, no, I did hug you since, though. I'd like the Shunt posters at home to know that I have since, outside of the battle box,
yes,
had a John Remar hug, and it was a great hug. I loved it.
It was mutual, very mutual.
It was. I was. You were honestly, you were one of the people I was just delighted to meet, because I love it when. Just the fact that so many people from the show are so good natured about the memes that get made, because some of them are great and some of them are like, wow, okay. But so many people were good sports about it, and you're one of them, and you are such an icon because of the movement line. And so meeting you, honestly, I'm sucking up here. It was one of my highlights of BattleBots. It really was. I've gone all soppy. I'm sorry. My next enthralling question is, do you find that you incorporate your role as a referee into any other aspects of your life? Because I could legit picture you walking around the street, like if you had a slow walker in front of you or something, just saying movement. so yeah, do you find that you're a ref sometimes in real life?
When you have two kids, you feel like you're a referee that has lost complete control and respect. Now,
agreed.
When I'm walking down the street and I see somebody whose car is conked out at them, I go count them out. Just simple. Somebody falls, I say, you got to show me some movement, and if they can't get up, obviously I go into my 10 count. I love making stuff in the microwave because I love counting down the last 10 seconds, and the whole knows when I'm doing it. And I get the whole arm movement. And what's great is, when that bell goes off, I know it's done.
Oh, perfect answer.
Oh, dear.
Were you expecting that, Dale?
Yeah, you got to keep practicing. Counting down from 10 is not easy. Most people count up from 10. Very few people count down from 10.
Yeah,
it's
hard, man.
So you really got to be good at it.
There's no room for error there at all.
I was going to say, why don't we all try it right now and see how bad it is, or how good we are.
What are we counting out?
We're counting from 10 down. Right, here we go. Ready?
Okay, ready. 10.
11.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3,
12,
2,
15.
1. That's a knockout. My family downstairs, and they have no idea I'm doing this interview, and they're going, what the hell am I doing?
Like, oh God, Dad's gone mad at last.
Our house.
Oh my goodness me. Okay, right. So when you're getting ready for a full day of refereeing, like how do you prepare? Do you rehearse? Do you warm up? What do you do?
When we joke a lot, obviously, in this show, and I love it. But one of the things that we really work hard on is being consistent, because we feel that if we're consistent with how we call the fights, that helps you guys understand what you need to do or not need to do in the tournament. And so we talk about the things that have happened the previous days. We talk about maintaining that consistency. A lot of times new things that have never happened before that may not be very explicitly written in the rules, and we talk about how we're going to handle them, and if we've handled them a certain way on the fly because they're new, that we maintain consistency throughout the fight. So that and keeping our feet up, because we're on our feet an awful lot throughout the day. And so putting our feet up is nice. There's my alarm. Sorry about that.
That's all right. You need to show some movement somewhere.
No, I set my alarm every half hour just to practice that movement, but I'll just add another rotation into my next half hour. It's okay, don't worry.
We'll make you say it enough on this show, undoubtedly. So I feel that'll make up for it.
Exactly.
I want to talk about the other refs because there's one in particular. It's not Mr. Ayer. It's the tall guy with the dark hair.
Dave Sanfilippo.
He is so enthusiastic and into it, like on another level, man. Like,
yeah.
This is picked up on by the Shunt posters because I keep an eye on what they think of the show and see how they're interpreting everything. And they're like, wow, this ref he's extreme. Honestly, he's so into it. Like,
he is.
What's he like in real life?
He is. You know, I've known him for a very long period of time. He actually used to run the Disabled Student Services program at Cal State Long Beach for over, I think, for 20 years. And
wow, that's awesome.
So he literally dedicated his life to, sorry, did I say 20 years? I think it was 40 years. 40 years.
Oh, wow.
He dedicated his life to helping students with disabilities not just graduate, but go on to better lives and to have all the tools and support necessary to ensure that that they had better lives and they had everything that they needed to graduate. And so I've known him, I've watched him through his work, and he's really soft-spoken. In fact, sometimes he gets teased because he's so soft-spoken, you have a hard time hearing him. But when he puts on that referee shirt, he becomes the referee that we all have gotten to know. And he's great. I love his enthusiasm. We knew that when we brought him on last season that he was going to do a great job, that he was really a perfect fit for it. We work really hard to make sure that our referees are going to fit the mold of exactly what we need. They're going to be fair, but they're also going to bring some element to the show that creates some sort of enthusiasm. And he does all those things. So he's a wonderful guy. He's very approachable. He's very kind. And we love
I want to get a heart in the chat for him, please. Everyone listening at home, can we get a heart in the chat right now for this wonderful man? Can I, if John retires, I would like to see the First Lady ref on BattleBots. That would be interesting.
You know what? And we've talked about that. And I think our main goal is to hire the best possible person. But I think that would be a great idea. And I think it would add a really nice element to the show and add some balance. And I think it would be a great thing to have a female referee. We don't have a lot of female competitors in our show. We do have some, obviously, you being one of them. And what's great about the sport is that it doesn't matter if you're male or female.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to have super strong muscles, have great endurance like your typical athlete. You just have to have, a creative mind, I think, number one, and engineering skills certainly help, but you don't have to have an engineering degree to compete in BattleBots. And so, yeah, let's look for a female referee. I think that'd be great. I'm all for that, and we've talked about that. And I think that's something that you should see, hopefully, here in the future at some point.
I would very much like to see that. We're going to move on to the Shunt Posting Awards. Now, what we normally do is we're reviewing an episode, so we give these out to incidents that have happened within the episode, but there's no episode to review, so we're going to see what John's all-time favorite nominations would be for this award. So don't worry, we'll help you out. We've come on with suggestions. The first one is the John Reed Good Hit of the Night award. So it's sort of self-explanatory. It's a hit that made you go, wow. So like your all-time favorite knockout hit. For example, when Bite Force took off Tombstone's bar, or Bronco sending Duck into orbit. Anything you like. What was your all-time favorite good hit?
Yeah, wow, there are so many. I've been for so many years now. I mean, literally well over 1,000 fights I've been involved with. And my favorite fights are the ones that where something surprises you that's unexpected or is spectacular. I'll tell you, it kind of goes back, I would say, about 5 years, where Stinger, the killer bee, was thrown out of the arena, and it flipped over. I don't know, it seemed like 3 or 4 times, and it had its flamethrowers going, and saw nothing but this yellow 250-pound bot with its flamethrower. The whole thing looked like it was spinning on fire. And I believe that was Bronco that flipped him out, but I could be wrong on that. That was one of my most memorable fights. And
well, that sounds like a perfectly good nomination to me. So we can go with that.
All right.
Here you go. Congratulations, Bronco and Stinger the Killer Bee. Whee!
Yeah.
You win John Remar's Good Hit of the Night Award. Woo! Okay, so the next one is called the Salt Powered Robot Award, and it's for anything that left you as the viewer feeling salty. So it might be a controversial judge's decision, it might be a robot not working as hoped, just, anything that makes you salty. Greg Munson went for Gruff versus Tombstone.
Yeah, my gripe with the judges is not about the way that they call the fight. It's that the referees really do all the work, and they sit there and watch it, and they barely say anything, and they give them these nice trailers to sit in. They buy all this fancy wardrobe for them, and we're kind of treated like second-class citizens. And we have to go buy our own pants and our own shirts, and we get to sit on plastic chairs throughout the day, and we get no special treatments, and these guys are the prima donnas. And so, that's my biggest gripe with the judges. It's yeah. I mean,
John has beef with the judges.
with the judges, and then they get mad at us when we don't call a fight, and they have to actually go to work and use their card and count to 5, whatever the point scoring system is for that season.
What I'm taking from this is that we should give the Salt Power Robot Award to the judges.
Yeah, exactly.
John's alarm agrees. All right, so congratulations, judges. You win John Remar's Salt Power Robot Award. And that leaves us with the Shunty McShuntpost Award, which goes to anything that was particularly funny or particularly memeable. And you can nominate yourself. So there you go.
I would say the funniest part that I could remember of being involved in BattleBots was when Trey Roski took out his toy fire truck and drove it out onto the arena floor. I can't remember who the bots were that were on fire, and this little remote controlled bot shot little squirts of water at these massively, and anybody that knows how batteries burn, water's not going to put it out, especially not little squirt gun shots of water. That was one of my favorite BattleBot moments.
What I'm taking from this is that we should give the Shunty McShuntpost Award to Trey.
Yes, of course.
Okay, well, congratulations, Trey.
Yes, and it has nothing to do with the fact that he's my boss.
Plot thickens.
I've known Trey for since I was 18. I'm not going to give away how old I am.
It began with a
5
fucking years.
For a long time. I've got lots of stories on him, and that's probably the least exciting one of all. So If we ever really want to get some dirt on Trey, I'm the guy to come talk to. Trust me on that.
Okay. I've got your number. So we're going to move on to a little game called Beat, Defeat, Judges. And the premise of this is a little like Snog, Marry, Avoid, but with robots. And so what we normally do is we give our guest a robot that's theirs. We give them 3 opponents, and one of them they beat, one of them defeats them, and one of them goes to the judges. However, you're a referee, so we can't give you a robot. So what we thought we'd do is we're going to put you against Kenny Florian, Chris Rose, and Farouk. One of them you beat, one of them defeats you, and one of them goes to the judges in a fight. Go for it.
Wow. So I've got Kenny, Chris, and Farouk.
And you're in a fight with each of them individually.
Yes, individual fight with them. Are we using fists and?
I mean, yeah. Melee fight, fisticuffs.
Obviously, Kenny, being the fighter that he is gonna knock me out.
Dale, you owe me a fiver.
Whatsoever. The only thing that would make that fight last longer is if I can run faster than him. So that's not going to happen. So it's going to be whatever it takes from if he's in the red square and I'm in the blue square, whatever that time is for him to catch up to me while I'm trying to run the other direction. And there's nowhere to box. So that's going to last seconds. Farouk, he looks like he can lift some weights, and he's got some.
He's so tall.
Yeah, he's tall. I think he's got me on age. He's probably, and
he's very broad.
Yes, he looks pretty physically fit.
He has a presence.
He's a nice guy, however.
He's lovely.
I don't think he'd want to hurt me.
No, he wouldn't. I had him on the show. We had him on the show. He was lovely.
He's a nice guy. He leaves these little notes throughout sometimes at the beginning of our show for all the crew. And he says things like, "You are loved, you're a kind person," and everybody gets a little sticky note. And
I thought you were going to be turning to a different story there. I thought you were going to say he's like quite mean and leaves horrible notes. But nice and wholesome.
I think next season I'm gonna play a joke and pretend I'm Farouk and put some really nasty ones out there.
You swine!
That sounds like me, doesn't it? No, I think if anything, Farouk and I would get in a fight of kindness, and so perhaps that one would go to the judges.
Okay, so you're beating Chris Rose.
Yes. And Chris, if it was a fight of wit, hands down, he wins because he is absolutely one of the funniest and wittiest people on set and in life. So, but it's going to be a good match. And if I had to choose one that I was going to beat, I would say it would be Chris. Chris and I kind of look like we're built a little bit the same, even though he's got me, I think, on height and weight. But if I had to choose one, I'm going to beat Chris. No doubt about it in my mind.
That's a very fair answer. I did consider giving you the 3 opponents as the 3 absolute units of BattleBots, which is Robert Masick, Tim Rackers, and Bradley Warren Hansted. But then I thought Kenny, Chris, and Farouk sounds more fun. Especially given that Kenny's a fighter. But there we go. So that leaves us with the member questions. Ooh, this is where the fun starts, John.
So wait, let me get this straight. People actually write into you and say, "I have a question for the referee, John."
Well, what we do, I did tag you in the post. What I do is I post a Google form on Shunt Posting and say, "We're having John on the show. Send in your member questions," and then people do it on the form because I like the questions to be a surprise, which is why I do it on the Google form instead of leaving it to the mercy of the comment section, because I like to surprise you. So these are the group members who have bothered to go on the Google form and submit questions for you, and this is the part of the show that all the Roboteers look forward to. Honestly. So Dale's going to kick us off.
Yes. Apart from making sure robots and roboteers follow the rules, what would you say is your best talent?
My best talent as related to BattleBots?
It doesn't specify, so I guess you could.
Yeah, I guess we can assume that,
figure
right?
out
I mean, these are questions about me as it relates to the show. Um, I think I'm fair. I think I'm a very fair person. You know?
Aw,
Yeah,
awesome.
I try to be fair. I try to be fair in everything in my life. But you know what? I know how hard you guys and the teams work and how much money you spend to get to the show, to build your bot.
And how much of Will's money? Sorry.
Exactly.
Nelly, sponsored by Hypershock. Sorry, yes. Carry on.
Yes, yes. And how hard you guys work together. You know, and I think money aside, you guys always work together. And so it's only right that we be fair. So yeah.
You're saying you're a referee.
Yeah, a referee. It's right
Aw.
there in the name.
Yeah.
That's wholesome and I love it. Your next question says, movement. Which person or team has the best dance moves?
I would have to say Minotaur by a long shot. They have the best, and it drives Trey crazy, but the fastest way, to say it, so they claim, for them to spin down their bot is to do this little dance at the end of the fight that uses the opposite of centrifugal force to
Oh, the gyro dance.
yeah, the gyro dance. That is my favorite thing to watch. And I'm always yelling at him to turn off his bot when he does it, but I love watching it.
What is the most challenging or hardest part of being a ref on BattleBots?
The most challenging part would probably be that we can't see everything inside the arena at all times. So we've got cameras that we're looking around. Some of the teams are huge in terms of the number of people that are on the platform, and so
Kraken.
good example. I love Kraken. Team Kraken's a great team. But when you got a lot of people up there, it just makes it a little bit more challenging to make sure that you're watching what you need to watch. So I would say that is probably the most challenging part, is just navigating around the driver's platform, so you make sure that you get a good view. And then also, what's equally as important, or probably just a little bit more important, is making sure that you stay out of the way of the teams that are actually driving or operating.
Oh yeah, you don't want to be accused of like obstruction or something.
That's right.
Oh, there we go. So your next question is, since the rules simply require translational movement and not specifically translational movement relative to the battle box floor, which is corkscrewing through space at all times, is it not true that all bots are demonstrating translational movement within the universe at all times, and that when you begin your count, you are in fact just being a big bully?
That is 100% accurate. I'm just a big bully. Did you write that question?
I did not.
I have a feeling I know who wrote that question.
Okay. Who do you suspect?
I suspect it came from somebody that lives in Texas. Wrong?
I genuinely don't know. It was submitted anonymously.
Oh, it was. Okay. All right. I love my Texas friends, don't get me wrong. I just happened to, it just sounds like the technical question out of this person I'm thinking of. And since I could be completely wrong, I won't name names. But
now that you've said Texan, I'm going straight to Fuzzy because, Texas Twister.
No, not Fuzzy.
Okay.
Fuzzy would include a graph as well as a picture of himself and his dog.
True story.
I love Fuzzy. I've been working with Fuzzy for quite some time now, and he's a lot of fun. He's a lot of fun, and I hope he continues to work in BattleBots and bring his robot and continue to fight, because he's fun. He's a lot of fun. Him and his family. So did I answer that question, or did I dodge it like I was hoping to?
I'll allow you. That's fair enough, to be honest.
Yes. You big bully.
Yeah.
Next question. If you could count out anyone in real life, who would it be?
Well, I won't get political on this program. Those
Trump.
who know me would know exactly who I would count out if that were the case. But
I claim no superiority with how our prime minister is. I've come to the conclusion, right? Trump is an asshole, Boris is a penis, and the space between them is the perineum, and that's as political as I'm going to get. But so sorry, carry on.
I'm sorry, but you dropped out over the last couple of seconds, so I didn't hear that. But let's move on.
Well played.
So, and one of the things I love about our BattleBots community is that we're so diverse. And when I mean diverse, we are very diverse. But when we come together as a family, and we put down our differences, and we work towards a greater cause. And I love that about what we do. And really what I'm doing is I'm trying to buy some time to think about who I would count out. I'll tell you right now, I'd love nothing more, and I may just do this. When we kick this virus's ass, I'd love to count that virus out, because it's affecting all of us, and nobody likes it, and nobody's winning right now. We're all down for the count, and we will get back up. We will fight again, and we will win. And that day, I'm going to count that virus out. I'm going to give it a full solid count out. Maybe I'll get the whole community count with me, because that would be great.
Can I film it for Shunt Posting? The official Shunt Posting count out of the virus.
Yes.
Thank you. You heard it. He promised me rights to this footage. You heard it here. Oh my goodness. Right. Speaking of count outs, another member would like to know, do you get some kind of sick pleasure from counting people out and asking for movement?
Sick pleasure?
That's what the question says. Yeah. I just read them out.
What kind of person asks a question like that? Sick pleasure.
Shunt posters.
Yeah.
John. Shunt posters.
I take no pleasure in counting anybody out, but somebody's got to win and somebody's got to lose. And I think it's more exciting if it doesn't go to the judges and all the business is taken care of inside the battle box where it should be. Mm-hmm. And, so the only pleasure I get is knowing that we had one team that clearly demonstrated the ability to kick the other team's ass. And as a result, I get to count them out.
That's how we like it.
Yes. Next question. What's the most embarrassing thing you've done in your refereeing career?
Most embarrassing thing? Wow.
Now, is he thinking about it because he's like, which one is safe to tell them? Or is he thinking about it because he's got to actually think of one? That's the question here.
I would say the most embarrassing, when you go through so many teams in a day and you forget the name of a driver, or you forget the name of a bot after you've known them for years and years and years.
Oh no.
And you have to ask one of the other team members or that person directly what their name is, what the robot's name is. Yeah, you feel a little embarrassed. And
I would be brokenhearted if you did this to me.
If there was a moment, though, I can't think of any moment. Nothing comes to mind. I'm sure if I, tonight, I'll be laying in bed and something will pop up. I want to re-edit this portion because I'm sure there's got to be some moment where I was incredibly embarrassed over something I did.
You never started at 1 and counted upwards.
What was that?
You've never started at 1 and counted upwards instead of going down from 10.
Yeah. That would be embarrassing. Yeah. If I counted up. Yeah.
I mean, that is his primary talent. I mean, if he's not got that, what has he got? I mean,
Yeah.
We're pretty much perfect with what we do. So I would have to say no, there's no embarrassing moments. The referees are 100% accurate in everything that they do. We've never had any controversy. And
have
anything
you
that
farted with the microphone still on?
well, that's something that I'm sure has happened because the producers and the directors can hear everything that we say. And I'm sure we've said some pretty stupid things that, would embarrass us in a very big way. So that's probably a better question for them.
Did you see that guy in his bloody fire engine? Your next question is, would you like to own your own refbot like they have on Robot Wars?
I've thought about that, and the answer is no.
Okay.
Definitely not. As much as I appreciate Robot Wars, and I know the reasoning behind the RefBot. Tom Gutteridge, who works with us on BattleBots, he's our executive producer, one of our executive producer, and um, produces all our international content. Does a lot of business work for BattleBots. We talked about the reasons why Robot Wars has those in-house bots, and that's part of their show, and that's not part of our show. And so that's one of the things that makes us different. I like the human element of having the referee, because I think one of the things that our show benefits from is having personality. And while the bots have personality, people have incredible personality too. And there are no bots without the people. And so I like that aspect of it. I like the personality behind the people of it. And that would include the referees. To me, I would say let's turn off Chris and Kenny and forget about the judges. The referees can handle the whole thing. We can, we talk plenty, and a lot of that isn't, broadcast on the show, and we know what's going on, and we have all the inside information, and what we say is both funny, intelligent. We're right
Dale,
about everything.
Dale, what I'm taking from this is that John doesn't want to share the limelight with a refbot. It's like, no, this is my limelight, bitch.
Basically, he wants to have raffle bots next year.
Yeah, well, I don't want to become obsolete, is really what I'm saying.
I don't want to be irrelevant.
Every now and then, though, it would be nice to have a bot inside there where I can just nudge another bot so we can get on with it.
I do like little Refbot's fire extinguisher, but there is no comparison between Refbot and his little fire extinguisher and the personality of I'm gonna need to see some movement. It's just there's no comparison. Dale, what's your next question?
Yes, my last question is, if you could replace the traditional black and white stripes of the referee outfit, what would you have referees wear instead?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's one that we've actually talked about before. The producers like the traditional black and white referee stripes. It's easy to identify and understand who these people are. But I like the idea of going with something a little bit more futuristic and technology focused. So I would incorporate some LED strip lighting inside the uniforms and make them flashy. I think it would be fun to incorporate lights that represent different things. So when the fight's about to start, the shirt can turn a certain color, turn green, perhaps when the start lights turn green, and start flashing at the end of a fight, so everybody knows what's going on. And I would make those colors probably green, red, and perhaps yellow and gold.
Ooh, yellow with your complexion, though.
Yes, yes. When you spend a lot of time inside the battle box or at the battle box arena, you don't get a lot of sun. Is that what you're trying to say?
I'm, well, maybe.
Quick, show
I
some
recall
movement.
we have
Next question.
similar complexion.
I am as pale as they come, mate, and I fully admit to it. And I like this idea that it's like fashion inspired by Optimus Prime. I love it. It's
Exactly.
fantastic.
Yes.
I want to
Yes.
see this.
You take the combination of the ref bot and you incorporate that into the human, and you kind of make a combination of the two.
Oh my
I'd love
god,
to have a couple extra arms,
this needs to happen.
some robotic arms to come
Oh
out
my
of
god, an arm for every number of the count out.
that would be really cool. That would be a lot of fun.
It
You
would.
know?
You'd have to stand a lot further back from the Roboteers, admittedly.
Yes, and
But
they all assign releases that I would not be responsible for my extra arms, but yeah.
John
dear.
Remar arms.
Oh.
Oh dear.
Oh, Dale. Oh, Dale. Oh, goodness. So your final question from me is, if you could take Chris or Kenny out on a date, who would it be and where would you go?
This is before the fight.
Now, let's see. If I were to take Kenny out, Kenny would get a lot of attention from a lot of people because he's well known in the MMA world, and I'd have to be okay with that. If I were to take Chris out, he's very funny and witty, so people would look at him and say, "Wow, he's the funny one." Um, and I'd have to be okay with that. Boy, that's Kenny's in great shape. Chris wears really nice suits. You know, that's a tough one. I may change my mind tomorrow, but I'm gonna go with the funny guy. I like the funny guy. I'm gonna have to go with Chris.
I have to admit, as the shunt posting queen, I would have to take humour as the overriding characteristic as well. So I can't disagree with you there. I'd go on a date with Chris as well. Where would you take him on the date?
Uh, things I really haven't thought about. So give me a second here. Where would I date? You know what? I would take Chris Rose to a football game because we're both football fans, and honestly, I would want Chris to take me on a date to a football game.
Okay.
Set the whole thing up because I think I'd get a little bit some extra special treatment from the sports side of things, and I think that would be a lot of fun. But I'm still on the fence though, because going to an MMA fight with Kenny would be a lot of fun as well, and he really is a really nice, cool
You
guy.
could be on the red carpet on his arm. Be lovely.
Now, no matter who I went out on a date with, they're both married, so I really can't say that I would follow through with this because I just don't think it would be right. And I'm also married, so
this is true. This is totally hypothetical.
Hypothetical world, and I can get that. I can play along.
A guy can dream. A guy can dream.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yes.
Nothing wrong with that. Well, there we go. That's the end of the member questions, and I'm afraid it's also the end of the Shuntcast.
Oh.
Really? What if I just sat here and I said, you got to show me some more movement? We can't end it here. Show me some movement. I want to see some more movement out of this show. I'm not seeing any movement.
Okay, I'm moving. You can stop counting now. I'm not as dead as Nelly.
Should we end this show by counting it out?
I think we should. Normally I say it's goodbye from Dale and it's goodbye from our guest and whatever, but you're our guest and I'm more than happy to go with that. So are you ready, Dale?
Yes. Right.
All right. We'll count from 10 and say bye shunt posting.
Yep.
Ready?
Ready.
10,
9, 8,
7,
6,
5,
4,
4,
3,
2,
1. That's a
Bye
no!
Bye.
bye, Shunt posting. Bye.
Bye.
I'm gonna need to see some movement.